Look at the sword!
Let's get it.
Come on, Frank.
What's the matter, you chicken?
No.
Then get in here.
Frank, you want to hang out with us? Then come on! You're just going to stand there or you're going to grab something. Shit, they're coming back.
Let's get out of here.
Come on, Frank.
Forget him. Let's go.
That's enough, Shigo. Go to your studies. You cannot get Katana sword by stealing. It is a very special sword. You must earn it.
I wasn't going to steal it.
You didn't flinch. You are fighting spirit.
You're not going to call the cops?
Not if we make a deal.
What kind of a deal? I was surprised by this movie in many ways.
I gotta say, I was regretting my decision.
I think this would be something I'd show to my kids.
Oh, that's good to hear.
I think it's about a father's love for his child.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And a complete stranger's love for that man's
They
child.
wore really ugly outfits. Puke yellow, prom night, pale blue, you know.
I don't even know where to start with this
Definitely
film.
not a movie I would consider watching unless you told me to. Hello, I'm Derek,
And I'm Peter.
and this is The Mog.
In this podcast, one of us suggests a beloved movie from our childhood for the other to watch, and then we talk about it. What made us laugh? What made us cry?
And whether or not it explains our desire for full contact. Everything full contact.
Derek, what movie do we have today?
Now wait, Peter, this is a guest Mog, a GOG, with retired Kumite referee, the amazing Mr. Darragh Murray.
Kumate,
Yay!
kumate, kumate,
Kumite,
kumate.
Darragh, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
Amazing to have you on.
Yep, so what movie have we got today?
Today we're looking at 1988's premiere movie Bloodsport.
Yay.
Amazing.
Freaking amazing.
Amazing.
Freaking amazing.
So I'll start with the synopsis.
Well, hang on a sec. Does anyone have an alternative title for this film?
Oh, whoops.
Because
What
I
was
do.
I forgot.
Derek, you go first.
Bloodsport. Frank and Ray go full contact.
I have The Nutcracker Suite or The Master Martial Arts of Monsieur Round Eye.
Round eye. Nice.
I had Bloodsport, the maiming of Ray Jackson.
Poor Ray.
Poor Ray Jackson. He's the central character in my view.
So now I'll get onto the synopsis.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
What is this movie about, and can it be synopsisized?
US soldier Frank Jukes has come to Hong Kong to be accepted into the Kumite, a highly secret and extremely violent martial arts competition. While trying to gain access into the underground world of the clandestine fighters, he also has to avoid military officers who consider him to be AWOL. After enduring a difficult training and beginning a romance with a journalist, Frank is given the opportunity to fight.
It's a somewhat questionable romance.
But can he survive?
Wow.
Yeah.
As I was reading it, it just sort of it was thrown in there.
Basically, everything is thrown in there for this film. The script's required it. We need to have a backstory. What kind of a backstory?
Bit of background of the film. This was Jean-Claude Van Damme's first real
Yeah. And it introduced us to the dam.
And it shows. Man, just the acting quality in this film. It really does set a bar. Like, it's in the opposite direction of the bar we normally
A
set.
bar
but
that
it's
Dan
a bar.
breaks with his head.
That's right. And the bar below it, too.
film. Well, I hadn't seen this film in its entirety, I don't think. At least not while sober.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know which you'd enjoy more.
I've said it like twice in the last month.
Oh God.
So this is your film, Darragh.
It sure is. It's my suggestion.
Yeah.
And it was directed by Newt Arnold, who was famous assistant director. He was on Blade Runner and The Godfather 2, but it was his first directing film.
Wow.
But it was famously cinematographed by David Worth, who later went on to do Kickboxer. And he worked on Inner Space, and he's pretty cool. He's an interesting guy. He was giving a little background saying how he was working with an all-Chinese crew and it was shot in Hong Kong, and, you know, how they just had this little room and it was the fight club basically, and there was no removable walls, so they just had to light the whole thing really, really bright to cover for the slow-mo. It's quite interesting.
Well, I mean, at least they got it right knowing that they needed slow-mos for this film.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot.
The fight.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing it always stands out to me when I watch this. It's like, you know, I know there's very B-grade acting in it, but the fight scenes are just incredible. That's why people watch it.
Amazing
because,
scenes, yeah.
It just looks great. It looks great.
Yeah.
And because it was Newt Arnold's first film, he actually overcovered it. So there were 3 cameras covering all the action at the same time, and they repeated the fights, you know, wide, medium, then close, and then like slow-mo for the KOs and the blood and all of that.
Yeah, I love it how there's so much people getting punched in the face so that they can spit blood in this film.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But well, I got distracted, I gotta say. So when I started doing research for this film, I looked up an interview with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which was him.
Oh, I think I know the one you're talking about.
And he's pumping.
Oh, he's pumping.
Yeah, he's like working out while
that's right. It's a whole, like, he actually acts better in the interview than he does in this film.
he like forces the interviewer to like work out with
but
him.
It's
like,
so
doing
staged.
crunches.
You can tell it's staged.
It's like, come on, do a few reps.
I'm going to do some sparring next. You coming along to have some sparring?
And she does like the eye to camera. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it's really cliche. It's very it's corny.
So corny.
It's very corny.
But it's still better acted than this film.
Yeah.
But would you say Bloodsport brought back martial arts into the public eye?
I can't remember, but yeah, apparently it was like the most popular martial art film since Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was like easily over a decade earlier.
Yeah.
And Chong Li, the guy who plays Chong Li.
Are you guys fans of
Yeah,
that?
I remember that one as a kid. And the guy who played Chong Li was in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, Bolo.
Oh, wow.
Bolo. Yeah, he was in both movies. He's friends with Bruce Lee.
Nice. Well, I also got distracted by the background of Frank Dukes. I keep trying to say ducks because it's spelled ducks. So the story is actually a true story, true-ish.
Apparently.
Well, it's a story based on Frank Dukes, which is a story that Frank Dukes wrote, which is supposed to be real.
But it was later debunked, really.
Yeah. Well,
And-
apparently he was also very litigious as well. So we should say allegedly, apparently, to all of this stuff.
Gonna track you down.
Yeah, that's right. Our
Gonna
famous.
challenge you to a kumite.
Well, this
Pete.
podcast will become famous eventually, and he'll go, "I'm going to take you on." Well, actually, no, he'd just be an American accent, wouldn't it?
yeah, he was American. I don't know why he's like got Van Damme. Clearly a European.
What are you saying? I am completely American. They even gave his parents French background, didn't they? Just to
Yeah,
cover
they
that bit
talk
off?
about it in the movie.
Yeah.
They talk about it in
Yeah.
Bloodsport, like to cover the.
They were wine
Yeah,
merchants.
they made wine. Remember, he talked martial science, Mr. Tanaka, and they had like wine.
What is
science.
this martial science you talk on?
If it was me, I'd be like, that's not science. That's martial arts.
Everything is science.
That's the arts.
Yeah, it's an art. How is an art a science?
But yeah, Frank Dukes, he trained JCVD for 3 months to get him in shape
Wow.
for this.
And they-
It's like, you're not in good enough shape. You're just like, you're Jean-Claude.
Well, a guy that saves orphans and worked in secret for the CIA knows about training, Derek.
Apparently, didn't they? I read somewhere that like Frank Dukes and Van Damme had like an argument, so they like fought each
I heard
other
about that
on a
too.
rooftop or something. And Dukes like, "You're okay, damn." This Dukes guy, the real life Dukes sounds like a bit unhinged.
Well, you got to look at photos of this guy. You can see he's all into self-promotion. And every photo I've seen of him has him in sunglasses. So he's doing the Bono look. he's the Bono of martial arts.
And then I trained him for 3 months.
On how to wear sunglasses.
But I actually saw JCVD in his JCVD movie. Have you guys seen
No, I
that?
have
No.
not seen that. No, I have not. Actually,
It's pretty good because like he gives a monologue in French and it's like to camera and it's surprisingly good. He's just talking about how he got famous and how he got addicted to drugs and it's very out there.
I've heard it's good.
But
I've only seen a couple. Actually, I was thinking I've seen Street Fighter, which is a terrible movie, and Universal Soldier. Apparently, Street Fighter was based off Bloodsport
and
the game.
Kickboxer.
Really?
Yeah, and Kickboxer. But I recently was reading an interview with Van Damme where he admitted to sleeping with Kylie Minogue on the set of Street Fighter.
Wow.
I'm not sure if she like backed up that assertion, but he like came out like 15 years later. Yeah, I banged her.
Wow. That's well, you can tell by the beautiful way that they treat women in this film that he's always been respectful.
Yeah, there's only 2 women in this film, Mrs. Tanaka and.
See, Derek, it's not just me.
There's no
it's
other.
not just me, Derek.
it's the whole era, yeah.
There's literally only 2 women in
But
this
they're
film.
both attracted to Jean-Claude.
Oh no, wait up, there's 3. Remember that girl Jackson tries to pick up on the train?
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he's like
true.
being really misogynist.
That's
No,
He's being,
actually,
like,
I was
really-
reading the credits. There's actually a bunch of special ladies. Did you see that?
No.
Oh yeah, I suppose they're at the Kumite.
All of the escorts
Like,
are called special
Oh,
ladies.
There was like females in the crowd at the Kumite, but they weren't really doing anything apart
Yeah.
from cheering, I suppose.
Yeah, and old
Anyway,
Chinese guys with no teeth.
Old Chinese guys.
So I guess, Darragh, how has this film touched you?
It touched me in so many ways, Derek. Thanks for asking. Yeah, the reason like I love this film so much. Well, okay, yeah, this is the Mog. I'm gonna explain how I come to watching this all the time. I must have seen it when it came out in 1988, and I would have been about 7 years old. And it used to be on TV all the time. I think my dad. He used to watch it with me, I'm sure. He didn't really like movies at all, but he just watched stuff because it was on. And he just let me watch what I want. So he let me watch Bloodsport. Probably pretty stupid, but at least he didn't let me watch Deliverance when I was 4.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get that. But
that's a whole new level.
you guys remember the late 80s, early 90s. There's like Ninja Turtles, Monkey Magic. The whole martial art thing was pretty cool. Even though I didn't do martial arts, but anyway, for some weird reason, various points over the last 15 years or so, at Christmas time, there was a couple of years there where I'd be away from Australia or my parents would be away. And then I'd be alone by myself on Christmas, but I had a Bloodsport on DVD. So I go, I just find it. And I go, just throw that on, watch it on. And now it's like this weird tradition I have that I watch it every Christmas.
It's a Christmas movie.
It's my Christmas movie. It has nothing to do with Christmas.
And there are so many Christmas values in this film.
Yeah, smashing ice is like preparing ice for the party. That's what Chung Lee was doing.
Perfect Aussie.
He was not like training. Someone brought him like 2-3 things of ice blocks and go, hey, we need some ice for the cocktails.
You just had to fill the
Yes,
SP.
It's family traditions all in one. Like how to serve tea.
And the guy hitting the
Blindfolded.
coconuts, like he's making a coconut salad for Christmas.
We are really stretching this Christmas metaphor.
It's funny you mentioned this, Darragh, the Christmas thing, because I actually found photos. Christmas 2007, 10 years ago.
That's right. All high school friends.
I have no memory of
I
this.
completely forgot about it.
Jeez.
Yeah. We all attempt to do the splits.
Oh my God.
And we're all wasted, I believe, at this point.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember this now. Once I saw the images, I was like, I don't know. And like Bloodsport is playing in the background.
And we paused it at the split scene, and then we all just tried to do it, and we couldn't. So like,
Oh my god!
we
oh,
end up
Jesus.
getting like one person to grab each of us by each leg and split us apart. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
And then there's one image of Van Damme doing the splits in between.
It actually looks like
Chase and Matt
Every
doing
one
it.
of you injured themselves trying to do this. It really looks like there's half of the photos in this are you trying to sort of look after each other after injuring
Yeah,
yourself.
it's like take us to the emergency ward.
And there's actually a ghost photo in here as well. So obviously the spirit of Tanaka
He was there watching over.
But I think Jason was the closest who got to the splits, and that's just the last photo.
God almighty.
Yeah, you got to put these up online for other people to understand what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll add these so people can see. Yeah.
Apart from Jean-Claude Van Damme, I don't think anyone should be able to watch a guy do the splits.
I mean, there's a lot of people doing this. A lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme doing the splits in this.
Oh my god.
Which is pretty amazing.
Oh, seven times, I believe. Yeah.
And I love that scene where he's doing the splits in the hotel, and then Ray Jackson comes in and goes, "Hey man, are you sure you should be doing that? Like maybe you want to have kids one day." It's so good.
So I guess we should get onto the
Yeah,
acts.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay. So Act 1, I just called Act 1 acting auditions.
And we should mention there are going to be spoilers from this point on.
Yeah.
It's good. If you haven't figured it out already.
Yeah. If you've listened to any box.
My Act 1 title was Put Up Your Jukes.
Nice.
And I had you gotta call the cops.
And by the way, when
I
we
like
say
that
cops, we're not actually talking about the police, we're talking about the fish.
Fish. Yeah. I was talking to Derek earlier, and I thought it was kind of funny because Tanaka, the guy who says that line, is actually a fish farmer. So like I was thinking he's like calling his army of fish to attack young Frank Dukes.
He's renowned for his carp.
He was like, "Come on, cop, attack!"
I'm going to feed you to my cops.
Yeah. And, like, maybe young Frank Dukes had heard about his infamous carp army.
Yeah. And they go like,
But it actually opens up with Hong Kong. It's kind of cool. Like, you get shots of the city,
and
then
there's the fantastic,
the really 80s music.
That was my note. Fantastic 80s drums.
Yeah, that soundtrack is awesome. Awesome.
Kind of. Look, the thing, it's an amazing 80s soundtrack, but it is applied incorrectly to every scene.
Oh, really?
It's randomly
the
built.
love scene, like the fighting scenes have music that could be a love scene in the 80s. If some of this music is terribly inappropriate.
Well, the music was done by Paul Herzog, who went on to do Kickboxer. And it has the lyrics, the vocals were by Stan Bush, and he was in the Transformers movie.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that?
Which Transformers?
I love that movie.
Yeah,
the original animated movie.
For some reason I thought you were talking about He-Man, which is I remember that.
I was thinking about the latest Transformers movie. And I was just wondering why you would even mention it.
No, the 80s one.
Yeah.
But like it starts off with Bolo looking so fierce, man.
Yeah.
And I just remember like I hadn't seen this film, but I remember you guys always used to comment that Daniel Sim was Bolo Young.
So yeah, this high school friend of ours, this Asian guy that we're still friends with today. He was into karate.
He was into weight training.
Way into karate and weight training. So he's called him Bolo Young, which he seems to have embraced over the years.
Well, I gotta say, this Bolo Young, or Chong Li, who is the character that he plays, he alternates between being very professional, being very nasty, and then being awfully happy.
Yeah.
Because he jumps up and down on the mat looking really thrilled, and he's just like got this really youthful smile, and he looks really pleased and happy, and he's just like, "Yay, I'm doing so well! Yay, look at me!"
He's so crazy. He varies between being professional and being a maniac.
Yeah, because everyone else is like when they do something really, like they do a good hit and they're cheering, they look really fierce. It's just, I've done a fantastic job. Look at me, I'm amazing. Chong Li is just like, hey, this is fantastic. This is great. Look how well I'm doing. I just killed someone.
I felt that it added to the menace of it all because he was drawing off the crowd and it was actually like in those moments he was really quiet. There was just no sound coming out of him.
Yeah, well, there wasn't much sound coming out of him at all.
Yeah.
So was that first scene he does that?
But he's meant to be Korean?
I think in the movie he is because he's wearing like what looks like to be a Korean kind of bandana, and I think he does Taekwondo, which is Korean martial art. I'm not sure though. I don't really know the arts behind it, but yeah, I always thought he's supposed to be Korean. But that scene with him at the start with the where he's filling the esky by smashing up the ice, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it's a montage really of just shirtless men breaking things.
Yeah, this whole movie is a montage.
It's pretty montage after montage.
And there's the black guy with the coconuts.
He jumps from the ground into a tree. That's pretty racist. It's like it had to be a black guy snacking coconuts with his hands.
Yeah, I mean, as an adult now looking at that, I can definitely see the racial stereotyping that could be associated. But I think that if I was looking at it purely from a martial arts perspective, I would have thought of that. That drunken monkey fighting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They've got like tiger stance, and there's a few different sort of animalistic fighting styles. But me being a massive, I'm so knowledgeable about martial arts, just from watching movies.
And don't they cross to?
And at this point, they introduce Jackson. Ray Tiny Jackson, who's slightly cross-eyed.
Who I thought immediately was the wrestler Mankind.
Yeah.
Because he seriously looks like Mankind. And if you look up photos, there are photos where, apart from the hair color, they look very similar.
Really? I thought he kind of looks like, what's his name? Macho Man. The wrestler from the 80s. But do you remember him? It's played by Donald Gibb. Did you ever see Revenge of the Nerds?
No.
Because he's...
I never saw that, but I saw the video you linked to.
He plays this guy called Ogre, who's like just this kind of dude it's about a sorority or and he just kind of walks around drinking beer and like screaming at the screen, like.
So he basically plays the same character.
He talks a lot more in this film, but he goes around going nerds.
Oh, he's an ogre.
He's called Ogre. But I saw that's a great movie as well. You should watch Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, amazing! I loved him in this. Oh my god!
He did add a lot of personality to the whole thing.
Well, he's like the only guy who hadn't been trained in martial arts, and it pretty much shows because he's just so terrible at fighting.
But he's got so much presence.
I
was wondering what his martial arts was. I thought it was just street fighting or
it seems to be like a brawl. He's like a brawler. He doesn't have any
drunken bouncer style. He's
kind of like I'm not sure if you remember that episode of Simpsons where Homer becomes a heavyweight boxer. He just like takes punishment until the other person passes out.
Yeah.
That's his style.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But then we're introduced to JCVD Jukes, and he's got a bit. We saw Predator.
It's a bit of a Van Damme thing going on, eh? Yeah.
It's just the overacting.
Oh man, he's amazing in this.
It's his first film, though. Fair.
It's his first film. But it's also, it seems, his first acting class as well. It's just like, I know how to fight. Oh, you're in. Fantastic. Do you notice when they introduce him, he's just like roundhouse kicking a punching bag? But I think, is this when he's wearing that really low cut vest? And it just looks really weird. It looks like it's just like show as much as my muscles as possible. I don't know.
It's the shoestring singlets.
And he's just doing it in a gym in the army, which is pretty provocative, I think.
I just like how he says, the generals can wait.
Yeah. Did you find that kind of? So that's that next scene is where he kind of tricks that guy into like going to the. He goes, "I'm just going to take a shower," and then he just like disappears.
I got confused by that because I thought he said, "I'm going to take a shower," and the guy said, "No, you're not going to take a shower." And the next scene is him having a shower, apparently.
It kind of goes, "Oh, don't take too long" or something like that.
Right.
But I always thought it weird. They're trying to stop him from going to Hong Kong, and I had it in my notes here that before that, the army guys are trying to stop him. But then they like wait 2 days to visit Tanaka's house, and I was like, why didn't they just go to the airport? Like where was he gonna? Like, how is he gonna get to Hong Kong from America? It's like they could have just hidden at the airport. They come off as really incompetent in this movie.
Well, it's bureaucracy, you know. I mean,
they had to get a few forms.
They'd have to go through a few people to call to get the right person to do the investigation. So,
and they found out that it was going to be Forrest Whitaker. At that point,
once they looked it up, they said, "Who's the best actor we can get in the worst possible role?"
Well, you know, Forrest Whitaker's previous movie to Bloodsport was Platoon, which won 4 Academy Awards.
Oh my god!
I was like,
He must have needed the money bad.
But I was reading up about Forrest Whitaker. He has a black belt in Kempo Karate, and I was like, he could have entered the Kumite. He could have just fought Chong Li.
Yeah, well,
that was the backup just in case Jean-Claude passed out. Jean-Claude quits after 2 days because he can't take it. I hate this fucking suit.
This muscle suit.
So Forrest Whitaker jumps in.
Fights Chong Li. That would have been awesome.
He would have won an Oscar.
He literally was supposed to be playing the token black stupid guy who, you know, the rookie cop.
Yeah, he kept getting overruled by that annoying other dude. And I was like...
Yeah, because he was supposed to play a stupid guy. But because he can act, he actually came across as a real person. Yeah, unfortunately.
He was way better. Like, the other guy kept overruling him. I was like, you should listen to Forrest Whitaker. He's got some good ideas. It was like, no.
Well, apparently they worked out that bit beforehand, and that's how they made it more memorable, the interrupting bit.
Oh, really?
I thought that was kind of cool.
Right, well, the guy would just interrupt Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah. And they both worked that out beforehand.
That's really funny.
But I think what they didn't show was that JCVD lost them, like, just over a balancing game over the Hudson River. You know? He outbalanced them.
So he boats. Did, but hang on, are you talking about in Hong Kong? Or?
No, this is before. This is how they got their 2 days.
He literally did it twice. Oh my.
Yeah. They just didn't show that.
Oh my god. No wonder they didn't show it.
But at this point, there was the dissolve.
Oh yeah, the flashback.
I just made that
so
up. So
JVCD turns up at Tanaka's house.
Best part. This is the best part of the whole film.
So he turns up at his master Tanaka's face, the guy who trained him. And then it goes to a 15-minute flashback.
Oh my god, it was so long.
You weren't quite sure which one of them was going to be the young JVCD until they spoke.
Yeah. They picked the worst actor possible. Pierre Ravidi.
And my notes were just, oh wow. Oh wow.
I thought this guy had some problems. Like,
he was a terrible
actor. He just
actor.
stood there and stared.
And Darragh, you found there was like a fan page dedicated to this guy.
Yeah, but yeah, there is. It's like talks about his origin, and apparently he's married to Lucy Liu now. No, I think it's just made up, and he was the son of a gypsy.
Well, part of the backstory was that he likes to act like a Mongoloid.
What?
No,
it's completely made up.
But then, and then the whole story goes into he's like the heir to the Genghis Khan's throne or something like that.
The Mongols.
So, he lives in, and he moved to Ulaanbaatar.
But the thing I liked about this flashback is they kept cutting back to JCVD's face, And it's sort of like,
Just kind of, what was he staring
yeah,
at?
and there's this
Oh, the sword. He was staring at the
staring
sword.
at the sword, but
remember?
they cut back to his face, and it's like they know that it's so bad that we're not going to remember that it's him, so they keep showing his face.
It's like, that guy, that really
looks-
terrible actor is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It's like, remember, it's meant to be Van Damme.
Yeah.
You might not know this, but it's him.
It's
What
him.
kind of a deal?
We're gonna change your face. And I do think it's funny in this montage where he cuts the hat off. And I was talking to Derek about this before, that imagine if he had flinched and Tanaka just like basically cut his face off in his lounge room. It would have been, holy shit.
He just flinches forward like the Mongoloid that he is.
He just gets
Best scene
just
in the
gets-
film.
Tanaka straight to jail.
Well, yeah. Well, I just I didn't even realize that he didn't flinch because he spent the whole time not flinching during the scenes that he was there. Like he literally was staring in space.
Yeah,
just sort
it
of
seemed
didn't
like
blink.
he
Yeah.
didn't know what was going on. That's what I thought. It was like he didn't have time to register that a sword passed in front of his face.
Yeah, I didn't have time to register this.
It was like, whoa. You have fighting spirit as well, obviously. Like if you didn't flinch during that scene.
I did not at all. I didn't flinch. Maybe I was partially catatonic though because I'd been watching the previous scene.
But then you sort of find out that the deal is actually for him to become a punching bag.
Yeah, well, that was it.
He gets his kid who Shingo, who seems to be also inept because like he's training and then he gets beaten up by 3 kids, which the young Frank Duke with no martial arts managed to wrestle to the ground. And then it's quite funny. It's kind of funny. Like he gets up and randomly says, I'm going to fight in the kumite like my dad. And the next scene is like, he's dead. He's like, his son died. It was like, and it's kind of that 80s movie trope. Is like, as soon as someone says what they're going to do in their adult life, it immediately goes wrong. Like, it's like, I'm going to do this when I grow up. And then they're dead or like they're seriously injured.
I'm going to be an astronaut when I grow up.
It's like,
And he's in a hospital bed in a coma for the rest of it.
that's the next scene.
Anyone expressing any kind of dream will result in a gruesome death the next scene. And yelling out by Mendoza!
But like apparently it's a point of contention about because the kid's death is not explained. But I had always thought that he had entered the kumite and got killed perhaps by Chung Li.
I thought that too, but the timeline doesn't sort of match
I
up.
just thought it was random. I thought maybe he got hit by a bus or something. You know, I don't...
That day he got hit by a bus.
Well, he's just dead. You know, it's just like, you know, well, these things happen. You know, maybe he was just running through traffic with, you know, federal agents following him because they needed him. And he got hit by a bus.
He
Maybe-
lost his balance on some boats and drowned.
No, his dad was probably doing that tea scene with his son, and then his son didn't block it, and his dad like punched him in the face, and he got an aneurysm.
Yeah, just got him in the throat. And that was it.
He got him in the
everywhere.
his nose went into his brain, and he died.
Oh, it's really a shame about my son.
And then they fed him to the carp. They put him in the carp pool.
You're going to feed me to the cops?
He got the carps called on him. But yeah, it's
Poor
such,
Shingo.
it's so funny, this flashback, because doesn't he start the training straight away, the flashback of the training, or was that later?
It was a brutal sort of training as well. It was another montage. But
It's a montage
JCVD
within a montage.
But can we just go back? We have to go back to a few
yeah.
steps because when he's first getting beaten up by his new soon-to-be brother-in-arms, Shingo, he gets beaten up and he says, like, get up, round eyes. And I just thought that was fantastic. Yeah,
It's like reverse.
Yeah, but it's not often you get to have racism towards the white guy. So I just thought that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you can, and the thing is that I'm not quite sure whether any of that was ever resolved before he died.
No.
Because when you think about it, he dies.
Off screen. Yeah.
Shingo dies. And Van Damme, who has to persuade the father to continue to train him because the father's like, fuck off.
It's like,
And it says, my son is dead. You are useless to me.
Yeah. You have 2 round eyes.
and then Van Damme breaks into this other monologue, which has nothing to do with what the Tanaka has just said. He's like, you're always telling me, like, and then he talks about some kind of like karate term. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, Van Damme. Yeah. But the training scenes are so good here.
Oh, yeah. And I think that what really got him to stay with the family was actually Tanaka's wife.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know if you've noticed, but there was something going on between her and Van Damme.
She was giving him total eyes,
Oh,
hey.
my God. Shit, like when they first, like before the montage, the door opens up and she sees him and he sees her. There's no words. There's just smiles. It's just
She probably saw him putting his underpants on one day.
Yeah, that was it. Those buns of steel.
It was like, ooh, the buns of look at those buns.
I'm never getting that out of my face. But, I mean, my mind. The montage. I'll let you go back to the montages though, because
The training montage.
So what's in the training? He's like catching fish with his hands. He's getting beaten with sticks.
So many beatings.
The stick thing is great, and also the thing where he's like roped up against some trees. What's that supposed to do?
I just cracked up at that because it just
stretching him.
all of a sudden he's just tying him to these pieces of wood and just ripping him apart.
What do the neighbors think? Like, if I saw that.
So now I'm going to videotape this.
And then he has all that blind fighting stuff. And then he's serving tea. That tea scene's pretty...
He's serving tea blind.
Yeah.
That must have been a hail back to Karate Kid. I don't know if this was before or after, but I mean...
I think it was after. 88, when's Karate Kid? Like mid-80s?
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah,
Have been after. Because...
Yeah, it's a bit Karate Kid-ish.
Because Karate Kid had the training that is not martial arts, but lends itself back to martial arts. Not that... I mean, serving tea is not exactly the same as wax on, wax off.
I get what you're talking about there.
Yeah, but I mean, she's serious. There's so many cuts to her looking at him and smiling, and the way that she looks at him, it was disturbing. I gotta say.
Well, she was the only other woman apparently in this film.
There's 3 women in this film.
All the time. I could literally see what she was thinking the whole time.
Because you were thinking the same thing.
Well, who wasn't, Derek? Come on.
Yeah.
Maybe she just really loves tea, and she's like, "Thank God that tea's served. That took ages."
It's possible, but she was looking up. She was looking a little bit higher than tea. She was looking at abs, I reckon.
Maybe she served some poison tea to her husband.
Yeah,
He's like, it's like hemlock.
The vessel with the pestle.
Yeah, and then that's kind of the end of the montage. It goes for ages though, but it's pretty
Did it
good.
ever make you guys want to learn in martial arts?
Definitely.
It kind of made me want to.
Yeah, I was going, I want to get beaten with sticks. Like that part where he's like kind of like doing like lunges and then getting sticks in the gut. That was like, that looks fucking badass.
No, I tended to get beaten up after I tried the martial arts, not during the practice.
But yeah, I'm not sure they would do that. Workplace health and safety rules nowadays. You wouldn't. Yeah, imagine going to martial arts class with your kid and seeing them basically trying to tear someone apart with ropes.
We got the tearing class. You turn up, there's 50 students. All being torn in half.
It was like the drawn and quarter, like Tuesdays.
Oh, we do a special training.
On Tuesday, we're all gonna hung, drawn, and quartered in the backyard at Tanaka's place. But in the montage, he doesn't learn the death touch. I wonder when he learns that. Was that first
Well,
up?
it was a bit of a surprise, yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got to. You can't show everything that he learned. You know, there's plenty of secrets going on, I'm sure.
I thought that Shidoshi guy, Roy Xiao.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I butchered that. He was great, man. And like his Hiroshima story, it was a bit tragic, wasn't
Sorry,
it?
who was that?
He's Mr. Tanaka, the Shidoshi.
Oh,
Tanaka.
yeah.
And did you think his name was Shidoshi? I always thought that just meant teacher or something like that.
Oh, is that not his name? Whoops.
Yeah, because like later on, they ask him, who is your Shidoshi?
Oh, is that what it is? Whoops.
Yeah. Well, they obviously know about him because they go, hey, you don't look like a Tanaka. Later on, but yeah, he's one of the better actors in this film, up with Forrest Whitaker.
He is, isn't he? He does a good job.
Yeah.
Senzo Tanaka.
But it was an incredibly long flashback, and then we sort of
and you know who he is? I kept trying to figure out what he was in because I recognize him. He's actually from Indiana Jones.
Oh, is he?
He's Lao She.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, he is. He's in Temple of Doom.
Oh, wow.
Is it Temple of Doom?
Right at the beginning of Temple of Doom, he's the gang leader or whatever it is.
That's right.
You know, the guy that wants the
gems or something or whatever they are.
Yeah, the remains
Is it gems?
of. No, it was he was giving gems, but he wanted the remains of some emperor from the Shinzu dynasty or something.
That's right.
Wow.
But yeah, he very memorable face and fantastic acting. I wonder if
he was in Enter the Dragon as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
Wow,
nice. There's a few. He's been acting since 1950. That's pretty long.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, interesting.
But he was pretty cool. And then he's lying on a bed, feeling sick.
Yeah, I was thinking he got like poisoning from the Hiroshima bomb.
Is that what?
That's my theory. Or he got poisoned by Mrs. Tanaka. That's my new theory.
Yeah, she from the tea.
The tea, man.
The tea, like he didn't know what was in the tea. He just served it. So
that's what happened to Shingo as well. He took the wrong. It's kind of like a Princess Bride type situation.
I just wanted to see all the outtakes from JC fumbling around with the tea. Blindfolded, just tea everywhere.
It would have been I think I told you this before, but it would have been a bit of slapstick comedy if he had just completely missed grabbing the arm and just got smashed in the face.
Oh, yeah, God. But I mean, actually, when you think about it, they would have had to train for that. Like, he would have had to train for that. He
would have copped a few fists in the face, I think.
But not only that, he would have poured a lot of hot water on some people. Like it's just like, we're going to try this again. It's time to not burn my penis.
Oh no.
Yeah, so far we've had an amazing introduction to this film.
Yeah.
We've had the lead up, had the montage.
And he makes his way over to Hong Kong, and this is where we meet Jackson, and Jackson comes in. He's got the best opening line, man.
A bit of a douchebag.
It's like, hey babe, want to go out with a real big man?
Holy shit. I don't know why that didn't work. Also, she probably didn't understand what the fuck he was talking about.
All she knew was he had a beer.
He's drinking on a bus.
He's had a bandana, and that's all you need to know.
Oh, I love Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson is probably the best character, I think, in this.
And then it sort of starts with the video game that him and JC
What the hell?
Yeah, this is just random, eh? This is very random.
It's got to be an 80s thing, right?
They're playing Super Karate.
Is it an actual game, is it?
Yeah, it's got Super Karate.
Oh my God.
But I thought it was a cool device to build it up. You know, you're not actually seeing fighting, but it's sort of...
But why was Van Damme so good at it? Like, just because he does karate doesn't mean, like, you're suddenly good at karate games. Like, they're a different skill set.
Well, you know, maybe before he went in and got almost caught by the cops, he used to play games.
Maybe he trained up. Like, on his Atari, he trained up to play Super Karate 24/7. And it's quite, that scene is funny with the video game because you want to see some real action. Come to the Kumite, fighting the Kumite. And I thought it was supposed to be this big secret, but Jackson is just told a random guy that he playing super computer games with. Come along to the Kumite.
Man, you should come to the computer games competition. Oh wait, no.
It's a Kumite.
I told you about the wrong one. Well, it's hand-to-eye coordination, you know. And
yeah. Well, I suppose so, but it just seems a bit. I think it fits, but it's kind of funny.
I agree. Hand-to-eye coordination is not an excuse.
And then we see Forrest Whitaker's in it.
Is he next? Is he in it next?
Maybe.
Oh no, that's when they go meet Mrs. Tanaka. And that's when he gets constantly interrupted
that's right.
That's the first scene when they're trying to track him down.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's already in Hong Kong, and they hadn't thought it's taken them days to turn up at Tanaka's house. Because, as Peter was saying, it's probably bureaucratic stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, they finally got assigned to a team. They said, well, we need one person who's old, who seems to know what they're talking about.
They were on leave. Someone was on leave. And they said they had to wait 2 days. They come back.
They went on strike.
Yeah.
But it might have been a montage itself. They might have gone.
They
back
should have
in time.
montaged Forrest Whitaker's day, those 2 days.
Gonna do a montage.
How he got into the army. Were they army guys, CIA or something?
Was it CIA? I thought
there's
Yeah, I
something
think it was
like
meant
that.
to be CIA after reading about it, but you don't really know that in the movie.
They're
Hey,
just two dudes from the US
military
government.
men.
Yeah.
I just love how the reason that they got to get him is he's too valuable.
For some reason, we don't know
Dukes
why.
is too valuable to.
Them guns, man.
Yeah, but the
Them precious buns.
yeah, I don't know why he is valuable. It's not really explained. Like, is it because he's a killing machine?
Yeah, he's valuable enough to send 2 agents over there and get the police force.
Yeah, this whole plot is quite strange in a way.
It's very tenuous.
I don't know
it's all
why
about going AWOL.
Yes, I don't know why it's really in there. There's kind of this weird subplot that doesn't really go anywhere. Because
Well, for the fight stuff, it gets clarified a bit because they bring in Lin, who is very much like Alex Chan.
Yeah.
He's like, protect your nuts, guys.
put up your jukes, I put up your jukes. You look like a Jackson.
Yeah, that Lin guy. You remember?
Oh, yeah,
I like.
yeah,
He's
yep,
like
yep,
the guy assigned to look after them, and he explains the
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah,
He explains
he's
everything.
like Jackson's counterpart.
Yeah, it's like it's all business. Yeah, I like Lin. They don't use him enough. I wish he'd been in it a bit
Yeah.
more.
I don't know. I think that if they used him too much, he'd become too much of a stereotype.
Yeah, I
I
suppose so.
reckon.
Yeah.
Like he had enough personality without having to have lots and lots of like normally a character like that, they're just whacking catchphrase after catchphrase. Like, oh, USA, okay, USA.
Oh, that's that other guy. Yeah, when they're going
Yeah.
into the walled city.
Yeah, that was cool with the fluoro light. It was
Yeah.
all blue and creepy, baby crying. I never even heard about this city.
Yeah, it's knocked down now, I think. But it was like kind of like it had its own rules and stuff. So it
Wow.
makes sense that the Kumite was in there, at least historically. So
I like it how even the police have heard of the Kumite, but no one's really particularly worried about it until Van Damme's in it.
yeah, there's people dying every year in it. No one cares.
Yeah.
It takes him a while to convince the police to care as well.
Yeah, it
They're like,
does.
I don't care. Whatever.
Well, I mean, but why would they care? There's
I
just
know.
they really have to justify. So who's this guy? Oh, he's gone AWOL. Okay, so why are you looking for him? Well, we need him back. Okay, why do you need him back? Well, he's really important to us. In what way? Well, we can't tell you that.
Top secrets.
It's
Yeah.
top secret.
It's pretty.
He's
it's
Dukes.
pretty.
You haven't heard of Dukes?
It's
No,
right,
he
Dukes.
goes around telling everyone who he is.
He's the guy in the leather jacket with a singlet.
We're running out of ice.
Rolled up sleeves.
We need more people to smash ice blocks with their fists.
With his Denmark.
Dima.
Yeah.
He's
That touch.
he's the chief ice maker at the I don't know army ice base.
It's actually in his resume.
Yeah. But isn't this now when they turn up to
They
register?
finally get to Kumite.
They finally get to the
Yeah.
Kumite. They turn up to register, and it's
Yeah.
really funny that Jackson they just go, oh yeah, you're in, whatever.
This is when I would say this is when Act 2 starts, isn't it? When they start walking into the Kumite starts.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
just
pretty
like
much.
pretty much just after this. Like, so they kind of do that whole thing where they go, oh, you don't look like a Tanaka, and he has to do the whole thing with the death touch, which is really cool with the bricks.
Because that's when I reckon it started, like right then when he breaks
When they
the
go
brick.
into they go into the when they go into the city, I suppose.
Yeah, well, the reason I say that is just to justify what I called Act 2,
Oh, gotcha.
which is Death Brick.
Death brick. I had come at me, mate.
I just had okay. I had okay USA. Pretty. I was just lying.
That is a cool. That is a cool line.
Yeah, that
Then he
brick scene's
breaks the
awesome.
brick, and then like Jackson, he's so enthusiastic.
He's
He goes, "No shit, you honor his
He's
invitation."
like, holy shit! He's so like blown away that this guy just destroyed a brick with his hands.
And Bolo is so intense. Just he's sort of got no eyebrows and just these pitch black eyes, man. He makes such a good bad guy, I thought.
And then so he's registered.
Yeah.
Why do they have a pile of bricks just lying around? Like
But at this point, I noticed the dubbing. It seems that this whole movie was dubbed.
Yeah, I think there was some issues
just
with
no
the sound
original
department.
dialogue.
There was some issues.
Yeah.
It did come in and out, didn't it? There's some bits where it was really obviously dubbed.
I think Van Damme's okay. It's just like the other actors. I don't know. I haven't really noticed it a lot, but particularly the Asian actors.
All of the fighters,
Yeah.
all the fighters in particular were dubbed. Anyone who could fight but couldn't do anything else was obviously not an actor. They must have all sounded like a computer voice whenever they said their line.
Yeah, they probably had no.
I am going to kill you.
Yeah.
What's it? So they kind of register and then they head back to the hotel and you meet that journalist, don't you? Or when's that journalist come in? Is that around now?
Yeah, that was around then. And
Oh my
that's where we
god!
meet Heikel,
Oh god!
who calls
Yeah.
JCVD shit
The
out.
guy, the Asian guy. Heikel's the other guy. It's that guy, the Asian guy who's just wearing like a not a tea cozy.
It wasn't Paco. What was the guy's name?
No, I
again?
can't remember his name. It's Hussein. That's his name.
Hussein.
Yeah.
The guy with the
Yeah.
tea towel on his head.
Yeah,
wrapped
he's
around.
like,
yeah.
You lose,
Oh my
American
God.
asshole. That's what he says.
Oh,
It
so
does the
gold.
coin trick.
Yeah, and he's basically saying, I want this journalist because I am going to like sexually assault them. That's what he's
Pretty
Yeah, that's
essentially saying.
right. Why
And
would
then
you
there's
let
a-
me rape this woman?
And then it's like pretty bad. Like it's
It's
like,
really awful.
and then he goes, oh, why don't we like gamble for this woman?
And it was at this point where I was watching this, and Alicia was sitting in her chair, not
she like
watching
going,
this.
oh god.
That she said, "I'm done."
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like she was saying. It's from that point you've made it really hard for me to convince her to watch 80s films.
But do you know how he does that coin trick? When I was a kid, like, and it's still pretty hard, I think. Even when I watch it now, it's like going, wait up, like he didn't get the coin, but is it a different coin? So essentially he's trying to steal a coin out of his hand before he can close it. But then there's a coin still there.
No, what he does is it's more than that. He doesn't just take it. He puts a coin in there as well.
Yeah.
So he's so good. He's so fast that it's not just that he can take the coin out of
It's
his
a different
hand.
coin. Yeah, but when I was a kid, I was like going, it's the same coin. Like, and even now, I still like I think like that. I was like, oh, he's just lost. What an idiot.
Yeah.
lost.
And they look at each other and goes,
Wow,
you
right.
win.
Okay. See you later.
It's
See you
like,
later,
rape
lady. See you later, lady.
"Oh,
Because Jackson is like, are you sure you know what you're doing here, Frank? Yeah.
He just winks at her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
it's really terrible. But
Yeah.
it obviously worked. So the scriptwriters know what women think and feel, obviously, during this day and age.
This movie does not
They're just
do
all
any
after
favors.
the buns, really.
Yeah, this movie does not do women any favors at all.
No,
It's
no.
pretty. It's a product of its time. But I mean, we don't
I
really.
will say Mrs. Tanaka is pretty progressive.
Well, she's poisoning people, poisoning men.
Well, not just that, but she's happy to go after the younger guy.
I never saw that Tanaka angle, but I don't know if I'll be able to look at her the
You're
same
going
way.
to have to look for it because it's there. I guarantee you that.
So what happens after that? That's the oh no, doesn't he? He goes up to his hotel room. They go to sleep, and then the next thing is wake up and JC's doing that splits,
Yeah.
and Jackson comes.
That's
in
where
because
he's ignoring him too. He ignores Jackson.
he's so concentrating on.
Jackson walks in. How did Jackson get in?
I don't know. He probably headbutted the
Yeah,
door
not sure.
open.
He stared at it and said, "Open."
He just smashed his head into it, opened it. Yeah.
Maybe Jean-Claude doesn't know how to lock doors.
He doesn't need to. He probably just sense people coming into the room because he can like see
Yeah,
things
true.
without his eyes.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah, true.
So he
You
just
can
keeps doors
blind see.
unlocked.
That's where Jackson goes, oh, that hurts just looking at it.
Yeah.
You might want to have kids someday.
That is such a great line. I love that line.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got a theory about that, and I'll explain it later when we get through Act 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay. And so the fighting begins at this point, and the music is really, really cool. It's really sort of rhythmic, and they got the synths. There's no strings in this. It's all
No,
synths.
synths.
It's synth-based.
beautiful, beautiful.
They could have called it blood
Slow
synth.
motion blood as well.
I love that
Blood synth.
this I reckon this was the start of the fight in all of the games, because
Oh,
there
yeah.
is the first time that there is fighting in this, there is literally the camera angle and the view of, when in every game they have them looking at each other and they're just, moving, and there's an angle where they're just staring at each other before the fight scene starts. So it's like the Street Fighter start,
I know what you mean.
Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat,
Yeah.
all of them.
The side scroll.
And that is in this film. It's the first scene of just before it starts.
Yeah.
They start the fight. It's there.
Yeah. Well, apparently it inspired Mortal Kombat. I know that much. Because they used
Oh,
the Johnny
yeah.
Cage move, the nut punch, splits and the nut punch. You can't really say that's not JCVD.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean Bolo with his spoiler alert throwing the dust stuff is kind of a bit Mortal Kombat-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fights are pretty cool. And it's like these nameless dudes fighting each other. I was going to ask you guys, who's your favorite fighter? Like, I know there's a few there, but I've got my own favorite.
I'll let you go first, Pete.
Oh, give me a chance to think about that.
Well,
What
I
about
can
you?
talk. I can talk about mine. My favorite guy is that Paco dude, the Muay Guy.
Paco.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I just love the
Paco.
way Paco. Yeah, he's like Paco, and I just love the way
All I could think was Pancho
Pancho.
from Predator.
But this,
Predator.
like, the next favorite one of mine is the sumo dude.
Oh, he was
is cool.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just wanted to hug people.
Yeah,
Just wanted to be loved.
What was it about Paco you liked?
it comes when he's fighting Van Damme later on in the movie. I just love his scenes with Van Damme. He just had the best fighting scenes.
I remember he went for the fist bump and they both sort of did it, but he just attacked him.
Yeah, he just punched him in the face, so it's just the best. But that Paco scene later on in the movie where him and Van Damme are just literally kicking each other in the ribs is like the best fight. It's like they're just
that's
doing it for like a
amazing,
minute,
that
just
bit.
smashing each other, and I just love that so
It's
much.
so rapid and they just keep going at it.
Yeah, it was like who can outlast each other.
Yeah.
And it's like different angles of the same thing. Whoa. Oh my god. That was pretty great. My favorite was the voodoo guy.
that is really
Joao
funny.
Gomez, the black guy, where he sort of does this cutthroat thing, and then he does tiger claw hands, and then the pec flex, and then he's just dropped by one roundhouse.
He's basically
Then
knocked
his
out
fly
straight
kicked
away.
out of the arena.
You bastard, because that was mine.
Yeah,
Oh, I stole
that's
your one.
really good.
It's pretty great though.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But even Jackson's fight's pretty good. And I think that's at one of the next
Well,
one.
his first one, man, I have notes on this. It was like, whoa, he's got blood all over his chest. And he just headbutts the guy and he's got covered in blood. And he goes up to Bolo and goes, I'm gonna kill you, man.
Which is
it's almost like
really-
there's history there.
It's so
I was laughing
ballsy.
so hard. That was the best thing ever. The best intro. It's just no technique. He just headbutts the guy. There's so much blood.
When I think
Listen.
about that scene, I think it's like me like going to a pub and then just like punching on some dude and then turning around to like Manny
There's
Pacquiao.
so much of you, Darragh, in Jackson.
Jackson.
I can see why you were brought up with
I'm
this
gonna
film
kill
because
you, man.
this is pretty much you.
And it's
And
fun.
even later on, where he brings up the Dinmac and he goes, "Okay, pick a brick," and he goes, "See, not a scratch on it." And he goes, "Not Dinmac." And he goes, "Neither is this," and he smashes it into his head. And he just goes, "For you."
Gives it to
Yo,
Brie.
Frankie. It's just pure Darragh. It's just
But like
how
his
you
move,
act, man.
it's like me like punching some random dude in a bar and then turning around to like Manny Pacquiao and saying, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." Like I immediately challenged the best fighter in the world to a fight. It's pretty ballsy, pretty stupid, I think. Like really not a good tactic.
If it was a different film, that guy would be the bad guy.
Who,
The guy
Jackson?
who says, "I'm going to kill you." Yeah, Jackson would be the bad guy because the bad guy always goes, "I'm going to kill you." But he's not. He's the good guy. So it's a bit of a change there. A bit of a turning up of the genre a little bit.
Well, he's white.
True.
I love how like immediately after his fight, he just kind of goes back to his seat in the audience. And he's still covered in blood. He's just kind of wiping it off. And I was like, dude, they've heard of AIDS and HIV by this time. Really, it should be a bit more like cleanliness. It's just like throwing blood everywhere. Yeah,
But I mean, that's keeping in line with his personality.
yeah.
The dude that cleans up the blood, he's just spreading it around, really.
It's a pretty poor, and then he just steals a tooth and puts it in his mouth, which is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, that's insane.
But that's
God.
after that happens after, because that's Hussein's gold tooth. That's after
Yeah.
JVC
Yeah.
Frank Duke's first fight with Hussein, and he like literally destroys him in world record time, doesn't he?
Yeah, so that was breaking the record.
Yeah, we see Bolo's fight first.
And he
that's
breaks
when
the record, and then
His own record,
Duke's
probably.
But actually, I wanted to talk about the record thing. So I think I mentioned this to Derek. In my watching it, I was like, it's quite funny. Like they don't have electronic scoreboards. They're just putting up the new world record signs like really quickly, but they had to like manually put them together.
That's
Like,
true.
how do they do it in 5 seconds? Like, what are they going like super scribes? Like,
That's so true. I didn't think of that.
he was like, dude, like how fast would it like unless it's it always. It's a real little thing, a nitpicky thing, but I was like going,
they must have used like
I think it's
children. I think
They-
nimble fingers,
go.
and they paid them in carps.
That's why he farms carp to pay the kids.
that's actually
But you're
how
right; it happened really quick.
you have to pay on cups to get into the Kumite. But I was going to say it was probably some guy who's been doing the Kumite for like the last 70 years, and
He's just so good at putting up the times.
Yeah.
He does it really quickly.
Yeah, but all I could think of was Alex is going for the record,
Oh, the world record! Gotcha.
as
yeah.
in the last Starfighter.
Yeah. And I was thinking when it's Chong Li, I was thinking Chong Li from Street
Street
Fighter.
Fighter.
Yeah.
I call him the Asian Dolph Lundgren.
Oh yeah,
He's
he's
a-
super evil. He could be
I
Skeletor.
thought he was awesome. I don't know. There's something about that guy. He just oozed personality. I think
His
so great.
warm up is just clearing his
Flexing his
nostrils
pecs.
and
Yeah,
clearing
that's
his
right.
nostrils.
Clearing his nostrils.
Pretty disgusting, but
And but his torso was something to see. It was just amazing.
yeah, it's
Pecs
like
flexing, man.
Like
Yeah.
they literally took up 3/4 of his body.
yeah, he's just a peck. He's just a human pectoral.
But he was also just really casual with his body language. I thought that was cool. He was just sort of, wanders up on stage and he's all just sort of strolling around.
He's just
more
chilled out.
casually,
He's just
but
chilled
then-
out kind of guy.
Yeah.
Optimistic
but
about
then,
life.
Man, he got record time.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the crowd are shouting Chung Li, Chung Li, Chung Li.
And then that's when he does his happy dance.
Does he go happy
Dance.
dance then? Oh, I thought he just kind of walks off, but I know he does a happy dance at some stage. He's kind of trying to rive up the track.
Yeah. He walks around for a bit and then he just starts doing his happy dance.
It's kind of disturbing, hey? Like, he gets off on killing people.
Yeah, he has some problems. He needs to go to a psychologist.
And this is where they have the different fighting styles, because you see the monkey guy and
Yeah, Parker. And there's that
Parker.
other guy who there's another dude in this movie who actually traveled across to America with Van Damme in real life to become a movie star, and he's in the movie.
Oh,
he's the guy.
Really?
He gets his leg broken later by Chong Li.
Oh, that
I
guy.
knew.
Wow.
When you said that, I knew who it would be because he was in the interview.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's in
okay,
a lot
I
of the
haven't seen that.
scenes. He's one of the main fighters. He trained with Van Damme in Belgium.
Yeah,
or something like that.
if you look at the interview, the sparring that they do, you know, that fake. Well, I mean,
That's him.
that was
yeah.
him doing the sparring with Van Damme.
Oh, now you mention it. Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
He didn't speak in the interview, did he?
No.
No.
It might have even been that it was either him or Van Damme that was going to get the role. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's what they talk
Oh.
about. But I think they made the right choice.
Yeah,
Van
one of them
Damme.
could act. Which one? We'll never know.
But there's some cool fighting in this. Like, there are different styles. They
Oh,
have
the montage in the Kumite. It was glorious, man.
they
I
have
really enjoyed
the
that.
sumo guy, the monkey fighter guy, Paco.
Yeah.
There's
They had all through it. They had that 80s snare hit. It was like,
Oh yeah.
actually
yeah.
some
Oh
guy
my
has written a
gosh.
website like ranking all the fighters, like in terms of what he thought was good
I
about
think
them.
I saw that.
Paco's number
Yeah,
one.
the 10.
Like Frank Dukes doesn't even make the top 10, I think.
He's in number 4, I think. or something like that.
Have you seen that one? It's like someone has ranked it, gone through and like discussed like in detail their fighting style and why they're good, and why they're I should send it to you guys. I will later because it's quite funny. Even the random dudes who are never mentioned or seen for 1 second, he like has this detailed essay on them.
Oh really? Because there are a
Yeah.
few in here which is sort of like you just forget about straight away.
Yeah, like the tight pants guy.
There's a few random Westerner
really
dudes.
tight pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad facial hair guy. That's all you know them by. Just their defining characteristics are how awful they look.
And there's a few kind of Asian guys who like they're like on speed or something because they're just fighting so fast that they're kind of like slapping each other or
Yeah, I must admit, this being pretty much my first viewing, there was a lot of fighting that just went straight through me. It was the memorable characters that I was drawn to when the fight scenes came up.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know any other way of describing it. So you may laugh, but that went straight through me. But
straight to your
straight to my heart, like that, like they're
Like a
etched.
death touch.
They're like death brick. They're like bricks. They hit me in the chest and went straight to my heart. But moving forward, that's when they cut back to the amazing performance of Forrest Whitaker.
Oh yeah, he's
And-
eating eel, and he's like, "Oh, this is awesome." And then
And the dog went in and ate the
and, like,
eel.
none of
I
the
thought
other
that was
people will
funny.
eat it, and so I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" It's kind of weird.
And they've got tasers. That
Yeah.
was just random.
They're the largest tasers you've ever seen.
I love how the police guy, the Hong Kong superintendent, goes, "As if I'd eat here." Like he was like, "This place is total shit." Didn't you look at TripAdvisor at all? Yeah, they have these giant tasers.
Yeah, well, that
Somehow they're just allowed to carry them around the street. Their jurisdiction is like global, apparently.
yeah, and I'd imagine
They had a license to tease.
no one would
fuck
recognize what
with
they
them.
actually were.
Yeah, they look like giant portable vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, that's probably what.
Yeah, like those. They use them to like.
And they do that little foot race through
Yeah,
Hong
through
Kong
Hong
at
Kong.
that point. It was
Oh
a
yeah,
little
because
bit slapstick.
they find him at the hotel, don't they? And then Jackson distracts him, and he gets a second to get away
Yeah.
by just pushing the dude.
I gotta say, this has got to be the worst chase music of all time.
Oh yeah, it's like one you want, one you do. Yeah, it's really inappropriate, and he's kind of like screwing with them. He's like kind of like looking back and like doing these kind of pranks.
Yeah. Super slapstick.
It's so
Yeah.
bad, and it goes on forever. And like, there are parts where it looks like they almost catch him because he's playing around with them so much. It's just, it hurts.
And he's wearing that brilliant yellow jacket.
that you can't miss.
It was a great outfit.
Yeah, he's like kind of that weird, like had shoulder pads. It was like bright
Yeah.
yellow.
Oh my god.
The baggy pants.
Baggy,
They look
like,
very
yeah,
MC
Hammer,
Hammerish.
MC Hammer. He probably inspired MC Hammer.
It literally could have been an MC Hammer film because they're doing it in the streets with all these people. You expect that all of a sudden they're all going to stop and start dancing together in a choreography. Because it's just
dancing in the street.
Yeah, just the music
Mick
is.
Jagger just rocks up.
Oh, it's so bad.
I don't understand it. So he's chasing him. They fall in the ocean. But they know where his hotel is. Like, it's not as if... Because he's there.
Well, no, because he stays at the journalist place. I think.
That's right.
That's right.
And this... I love... This scene is so awkward. And there's...
I couldn't even... I had no words, man. It was just, oh, what?
Apparently,
What?
I was listening to something about this. And so I've heard it mentioned that they think that perhaps they filmed... both bits, the date scene, like filmed them separately. Like the other person wasn't in the room and they've just cut it together because it's like this really weird conversation. It's just really odd.
Well, maybe they had one camera.
Yeah, I don't know. If you go back and watch the scene, it's just, and then just think about it. Oh, was Van Damme sitting in? Because they don't show them sitting together. It's kind of like focuses on her, then focuses on Van Damme, and then flicks back. So as if like they both weren't in the same room at the same time.
Oh god.
Go back and watch
Very
it, and it's like
disjointed.
it's quite weird. It's kind of like the journalist is like really like enthusiastic, and Van Damme's like, oh yeah, whatever. Like,
just looking back with his
The
dead
Van
eyes.
Damme
like
only
going-
gets excited when he's, beating the shit out of someone. He's got blood on his face.
but yeah, and then they have this really awkward date, and she's like, I just want to get to know you.
have
I'd
all
really like to
night.
get to know you.
And
And then it just cuts to them waking up the next day.
I gotta
Yeah.
say that was good. And the reason I'm gonna say that was good is because it's the 80s. And in every other 80s film, there would have been a fake sex scene
yeah, it's
Oh,
implied.
with the saxophone.
But actually, this is one of the points I wanted to make that I find a bit strange. And I was talking to Derek about this before, as I have been for the last week. I want to hear your thoughts about this, Peter.
Okay.
So there's 3 days of the Kumite.
Yeah.
And on day one, before the Kumite, Frank Dukes gets up and he does this like very elaborate meditation thing, and this does the splits. And on day 3, he does pretty much the exact same thing. But for day 2, he doesn't do it. He just bangs the journalist and then heads off to the Kumite. And I'm like going, is that like essentially equivalent to? He's like going, I can't be bothered doing the splits and doing all this meditation.
That's his meditation.
His meditation's like, meditation's done, baby.
Well, I guess my question to you is, how do you know he didn't do the splits?
Well, it's not shown on screen. No, maybe he was doing
the bedroom splits.
I'm not. Yeah, like that's like some like Pornhub material.
Well, like I'm sure that she,
Just ask Carly Minogue. She knows all about it.
Maybe he's doing the
Maybe-
meditation while she's doing something to him.
I'm just imagining now.
but-
I feel so bad. I feel terrible. I'm not gonna be the same after this.
But I actually reflected
I'm-
on this today.
Well, that's
and,
why
I had-
what you've just answered the question why there wasn't a soft porn sex scene in there, because there were splits
Because it's the 80s. Oh, 'cause it's-
and he had no pants on.
Well, I was I had an alternate theory because like the day before, Jackson says to him, hey, you might want to have kids one day. And then maybe that was playing on his mind. So he goes, oh, just hook up with this journalist and, spread
Maybe
this.
I want to
yeah.
have kids.
Maybe it's like, oh, maybe he's right. Maybe Jackson knows something about,
Yeah.
sperm health.
Well, but Jackson actually works at a sperm bank. That's
Oh, he's probably
Well, the thing was, he was wearing jocks, and apparently those aren't so good for your sperm count.
That's why he has to put
it.
him. He kind of takes them off and then puts them up again. Like, he's like that is so weird how he kind of takes his pants off and puts it back on. Why does he do that?
does he take his pants off and put them back on?
He kind of like they're already
Oh,
on
yes.
him. They're already on him, and he kind of
He
just
takes them
rolls
off.
them
You
down
get to
and then
see
pulls them up.
those
Oh no!
perfectly lit orange buns.
I didn't see them go down. I just saw them coming up, and that was enough for me.
No, you were shielding
Oh,
yourself.
man.
no,
I
I
was
said- I
was
said-
coming up as well.
I
At the
said,
same time.
when I said like This is another scene where Alicia was actually in the room. So, but not watching
She just sees all the great scenes.
No, she wasn't watching. That's the thing. Like the where she was sitting is actually opposite to me. Like she's got this really comfortable chair where she looks at the laptop and types stuff out, or has the dog, patting the dog, and that scene came up, and I cracked up laughing. Like she's just sitting there calmly. And this guy, and it wasn't a laughter of this is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. It was like it was shock. It was I've heard about this. I wasn't ready for it. The
budgie smugglers.
I can't believe that I'm looking at this.
Do you guys wear jocks like that?
Oh,
No,
all the time.
No.
Whenever I get up in the morning.
I'm gonna do that next time. I'm like in that situation. I'm gonna do that with my jocks.
Yeah, with my.
I was thinking maybe he took her underwear by accident.
He's like, oh,
It was
are these
actually
mine?
it was actually her bra.
Maybe and I hope he locked the door this time because Jackson could have just burst in. So what are you doing? All right, Frankie.
All right, yo, Frankie.
And that's
What are you doing there?
And that's when there was a lot of allusions to the fact that she was sleeping with him just to get to go to the Kumite. And actually,
this is interesting. Go on, sorry.
Well, this is what Alicia did here in the background, and she cut in, and she's like, "Oh, that's just disgraceful," she's selling herself just to go to the Kumite. And I was like, no, that she's hoping for that, but what she really wants is the relationship with Jean-Claude. You can see in the discussion and the language.
Yeah, because he doesn't let her. He's like, no, I'm not going to.
And she's not upset.
Agrees to it.
She's not upset about it.
But
it's
think it's
explained
funny-
later why she's not upset though, because
But did you think it was funny that essentially, do you know how he leaves to the Kumite, but then he gets there and she's already there,
yeah,
and I'm like going, how did she get there so fast?
That's true.
And also dressed up and going out with some other dude.
yeah. Well, she says not the first time I've had to sell myself for sex. Oh no, wait, she didn't say
No,
that.
she doesn't say that. She just says I have to go undercover.
Not the first time I've had to go undercover
to go
for
under.
a story. That's right. Sorry. I got a bit too literal there.
Well, she's just kind of the date of that kind of gambling dude, that gamble master.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I never kind of got the implied that she slept with that dude as well. I was like going, holy.
But she said, not the first time I've had to go undercover for a story.
Oh, like literally. Well,
Yeah.
do you reckon actually playing on it? Because I've actually thought of that angle, and I got maybe JC put on that guy's underpants. He put them on, and he's like, "Are these mine, or is that the dude?"
These are awfully tight.
Oh no, they're all doing the splits. Oh.
He's like going, and then he sends up the Kumite and goes, "Hey, I'm wearing your underpants today."
And that's why the guy was so happy for him, and he was really,
Yeah, it's a good luck charm.
he was really on that guy's side. That guy was a staunch
it was like,
supporter of.
those underpants look familiar.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is the scene. Next scene is they turn up, and this is Jackson doing his version of the Dim Mac, the Death Touch.
Oh yeah. This is the Darragh Murray. He smashes it into his head.
For you.
For you. Yo, Frankie.
I wonder how much of this was ad-libbed.
Actually, I think that guy who plays Jackson is like a legit actor. He's pretty good. He's convincing. This is kind of like this stupid Homer Simpson type fighter. But he's pretty awesome.
And then the fighting begins again, really. And now the white floor is just filled with blood.
The janitor got fired, or he quit his job after stealing that tooth.
Yeah.
So I sold this I'm retiring.
And it gets super real when Chong Li breaks that guy's leg.
That's
and it's a
Jean-Claude's
compound
friend.
fracture.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That always
was
freaked me
full
out
on.
as a kid.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
It kind of looks a bit weird. Yeah, it looks a bit weird. The special effects or the visual effects on the leg, because it kind of looks really plasticky in a way. But
Oh, I don't know. I felt it because it really sets Chong Li up as the big bad guy.
Yeah.
After that point.
But when you say it freaked you out not because it was a compound fracture, but because it didn't look real.
Well, it kind of freaked me out for both reasons. Like as a kid, I thought it was pretty horrific, but now I'm like going, that kind of looks a bit silly. But yeah, it does. Like Chong Li has suddenly gone a bit. Maybe he didn't get his like feast of eel the day before, and he's like, "That's it. I'm fucking taking names.
Yeah, I'm going to take it up.
I'm gonna break legs."
If I can't get the record.
Yeah, he's got really angry because he didn't get the record.
It's just about the record.
Yeah, and then it kind of ratchets up a knot, and then you got that black guy doing the voodoo thing.
Oh, that was awesome.
Derek's favorite fight.
That was my favorite guy, Joel Gomez.
He gets immediately knocked out.
And then, it's ramping up when JC takes his shirt off.
Why does he take his shirt off again? It's like he gets punched in the shirt or something. He gets hit.
I didn't quite catch. Maybe it was something to do with grip. Someone getting a grip.
It was with the sumo guy, maybe.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. He gets he kind of gets like punched or something with the sumo dude, and then he flicks off his shirt, and that's him. He's like, that's it for the corner. He said, once the shirt's off, it's not coming back on.
Oh my god!
Even though between fights, he could just easily put it back on.
But I mean, once it's off, you're hot. You don't want to put something that's going to.
The janitor probably stole it. Sold it for money.
His like eyes light up. And he puts it in his mouth. Checks it's real.
That's real silk.
Bites into it.
That's real silk.
Ooh, delightful.
You ever seen cutting to him, and he's got like the false teeth, and he's wearing multiple outfits.
He's like a scavenger, Kumite scavenger.
He's got coconuts as well.
So Jason,
but he does the death touch move at this point, and it's got the Bruce Lee face, man. Was that like a thing?
Yeah, that's awesome.
You guys picked up on?
Yeah, definitely Bruce Lee. And he death touches him, and then he does the splits and just smashes him in the genitals, which is awesome.
And I instantly thought about Johnny Cage.
Johnny Cage, yeah.
You can't get away from thinking that. But I mean, this, as you said before, would have been the first time that it had been seen. And it comes out of the blue too. Like, even though I knew that it was going to happen at some stage, I didn't know when it was going to happen.
What, the splits nut punch?
Yeah, I don't, and it happens really fast, just like whack.
I can't believe the nut punch wasn't used a lot earlier by other fighters. If you can punch in the nuts, like Jackson is a prime candidate for the nut punch. Yeah,
but they really lay it out. Like, it's all about the splits.
Yeah.
There's his legs are splayed almost halfway through this film, and it was almost leading up to just that punch.
But it's so good. This fight is pretty good. It's my favorite fight after the Paco fight.
And at the end of that, they start yelling out "Juke."
The
crowd, Juke.
Jukes. Oh, and actually, you just reminded.
Bolo starts getting worried.
You just reminded me of that gambling man. He goes, "How are you feeling today, Jukes?" And maybe that's just after he's wearing his underpants.
Are you comfortable? It's bamboo.
Oh, it's all about the triangle.
Do you like the silken underpants I left for you?
Yeah. Anyway, but they're all yelling out Jukes.
At this point, Jackson
fights Bolo.
That's right.
And he kind of stuns him initially, and then he just like completely fucks it up. Like, I killed him.
Heartbreaking.
I killed him. And I was like, he's clearly not dead.
No.
And he's trying to get the Jackson.
Bolo looks pure evil.
He's getting the Jackson chant, trying to get that going, and no one's really into it.
I've never seen anyone draw it out as much as like that went on for ages. Him just going, come on. Just look at me while that guy starts feeling better.
Yeah, he could have just pushed him out of the arena. It was like, that's it. Make sure. Like, doesn't he double check his work? It's
He's definitely not a government official.
He's not. No.
He had way too many beers beforehand.
So he basically
he gets his head stomped.
He basically gets fucked up.
Yeah, gets his head chomped in.
And then Bolo grabs his headscarf.
His Harley Davidson.
So menacing when he's holding it.
Yeah, he's like, look what I got. And then Duke tries to run in and save him. And
I got the thing that was keeping his brains intact.
Yeah. This is mine now.
His eyes will really turn cross-eyed now.
Well, it's funny because the next scene, his face is all wrapped up again.
Yeah.
So they knew that. They had to wrap it up again.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you know, like, so they, is it from that scene that he goes to the cuts to the hospital?
Yeah, he does, and the journalist is
Yeah.
there. And then she's really concerned. She goes, "Oh my god, you get hurt in the kumite?" Even though she'd seen someone's dude get his leg broken literally just before. And she tries to
Yeah.
put a
His
stop
face is
to it.
smashed in.
Yeah.
It does leave you wondering what was so obscene about him getting his head chomped when there's been a lot of other stuff going on. But did you guys notice the doctor in that scene?
Yeah,
yeah, he goes
was
like-
very well spoken.
He's like, "If you guys want to argue, get out of here," or something like that, doesn't
he
he?
said it with like a British
But
accent.
he
too.
he could not find Ray Jackson's heartbeat
Really? Is he like on
He
a?
was putting his
through the
So-
whole scene. He is
He's like
literally
kind of.
prodding that
just
all around.
prodding around. I didn't notice that. That's gold.
I never noticed that either, but I will from now on. He's like this incompetent doctor.
He doesn't know
I
what
think
to
the
do.
trivia behind it was he was like a funding agent of the film. He
Really?
just wanted to be in it.
Really?
All
Yeah.
right, nice.
Do you think he was chucking them out of the room because he was a bit embarrassed that he couldn't find the heart? He's like, "I don't want these guys thinking I'm terrible."
I was actually just wondering that scene. Who's Ray?
Ray.
This is Jackson. Are they just messing with him by calling him Ray?
Little ray of sunshine.
Ray.
And this is where
Little buttercup.
this is where she starts to get the idea to backstab them all and ruin the Kumite.
Oh, I hated this bit. This is like the worst bit of the movie. I always kind of go, "Oh." It's
Yeah,
like-
so as a kid, how up until this point, what's been going through your head?
Well, I've been like going, "This movie's awesome." Like people are just like fighting each other, breaking legs, stomping faces.
Yeah.
I don't really kind of pay attention to the details of the plot.
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Oh, fair enough. She's gonna be concerned." But now that I'm older, I'm like going, "Oh, this kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense." But what's she do? She tries to shut down the film. Not the film, the kumite.
But she doesn't.
yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
she didn't do anything. She actually is cheering enthusiastically on day 3. It's like she doesn't boycott it.
But she says, okay, the Kumite is here. And what the most important thing is that we shut down. Oh, hang on. No, the most important thing is that we make it so Dukes doesn't go. Like they
Yeah,
don't
so-
actually try to shut down the Kumite.
Yeah. They just say, "Oh, just save Dukes." And I was like, "Well, other people are going to get killed by. They should like arrest Bolo for basically killing people."
manslaughter.
Well, they do
Yeah.
turn their back on him. Oh, no, hang on. At
No,
what
that's
point-
later. That's on day 3.
Yeah,
That's day
sorry,
later,
I'm cutting ahead.
yeah.
So I guess we are getting into Act 3 now then.
3. Yeah, we can't because the next one is JVCD doing the splits.
Yeah, so
Isn't
Act
it?
3.
I had Act 3 as I am the Fred Astaire of karate. That was an actual quote from JCVD.
Oh, really? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I had like poor Paco.
Oh,
poor
Paco.
Paco, because Paco kind of meets his demise.
Yeah, I had spread your
Yeah.
legs for the 80s.
Because it opens up with the Hong Kong skyline and whoa, those splits,
Doing the
man.
splits
They're
again.
epic.
Well, he needs to
Epic.
calm himself down, that whenever he's got to calm himself down.
Well, I was wondering, is that meditation, the movements? It looks real. Is it a real thing that
It
he's
looks
doing?
like he's making a coffee, like a miming. He's like
He's holding the pinky
he's
out.
like doing some barista training. He's like, "What do I do when I get back? I'm gonna get fired from the
He's
army."
making a double shot soy latte.
Yeah, it's like better practice. Yeah, he does kind of.
He's just a poor Belgian barista.
Everything that he does and practices, he has to do with the splits. He has to go to the
In
bed
fact,
with
this
the
whole
splits.
movie is just barista training. Like that's Shidoshi is actually like head of Merlot. That's the life story of Merlot.
Merlot coffee in Brisbane.
Yeah.
That's glorious.
But yeah, so then he heads back to the Kumite, but he gets stopped along the way.
Yeah, because she's gone to the cops, who
She's gone to
haven't
the
done
cops.
anything up
Yeah.
until this point. Like the guy.
Forrest Whitaker's
Yeah,
back.
so you've got Forrest Whitaker and the dude have gone to the Hong Kong police, and the Hong Kong police now know that the Kumite is on, but they have no leads, and that's when she turns them in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
even though I'm pretty sure they knew about the Kumite the whole time, they just couldn't be asked.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, fair enough. Okay, we'll go shut it down. But then they don't actually do anything. They try to taser.
Well, he takes them out one by one.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
that's
they-
kind of
they're
cool.
bins.
It's
Yeah.
the narrow alleyway.
And it's just his bag, his duffel bag.
It's pretty funny how like they fire the taser at him and he just deflects it with a bin into some other
With a
dude.
bin. Yeah.
That's pretty
He,
great.
he,
Yeah.
he,
Into
know-
two of them.
he knows
Yeah.
physics pretty damn well too.
He's like-
I like it how he kicks the guy and closes the door behind him. with
Yeah,
his
it's like close that door behind you. And then
Yeah.
they basically give up at this point and say, all right, we'll go get front row seats to the final
We'll
day of the
watch you.
Kumite.
Yeah. The secret society, they just end up there.
How did they get front row seats? Because I would have thought that'd be pretty hard to get. But obviously,
Yeah.
maybe they booked ahead or paid a...
Well, I really don't know what the criteria is to actually get into the Kumite. They weren't very specific. I think anyone who knows about it can turn up.
Can turn
I
up.
think if you're sleeping with a competitor, it seems.
Yeah. Well, I think it seems like anyone is in there. It doesn't matter what background you're from. You've got rich people, you've got poor people, old, young. It seems that it's only people who seem to know that it exists and where it is can turn up.
Mm. And it's all about the gambling, right?
Yeah.
They're always all betting.
So much gambling.
I don't know how they I can never understand that type of gambling. Like people just throwing money everywhere.
Yeah, someone's got this fantastic
Who
memory
keeps track?
where it's just like, take my wad of cash. Don't you could obviously tell that it's 500 and then I'm going to get 1,000 if I win.
Yeah, it's
Guys
really
doing it all
confusing.
in
How
his
do they
head.
do that? Like, how do they account for that?
Do you think this was like one of the first movies that showed the match betting? You know, the random match betting where everyone's screaming and throwing cash at one person who obviously...
Oh, I've seen if you ever I immediately think of Wake and Fright where they have a 2-up scene.
I thought of that too.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
you
and they just
recommended
throw
that
in
film to
movie.
me. It's amazing.
Yeah, and they're just throwing money around.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Wake and
they play
Fright.
2-up. It's an Aussie film.
Oh, okay.
And they got this gambling scene, which kind of reminds me of Bloodsport in a way. They just had chucking
It's
money.
super dark. I felt the dark vibe on that because it's coming into the third act. You know, this is like there's real like life or
Things
death
life
on
is
the
on.
line, and they're just betting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's the first
How you
fight?
feeling, you know?
Parko versus Dukes.
Paco, yeah,
Yeah.
this is your favorite
Well,
one.
we kind of talked about it before, but yeah, he gets faked out, which
Yeah.
is I don't know why Dukes gets faked out because it's pretty obvious. He's like, oh, okay, and he's get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And then there's that awesome kicking scene which we talked about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Eventually,
wonderful.
how does he beat him? Does he roundhouse kick him to the face like a fly kick? I can't remember how he
I
he
can't
loses.
remember.
I can't remember. No.
It
Basically,
must
he
have
screws
been.
him
There
up.
was so many. There's a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Whenever he's doing a flying kick, they can't stop him.
Oh, it's awesome.
All is
yeah.
they're just unbeatable. If once he goes aerial, it's over.
Yeah.
Well, I read some trivia like that he had something to do with the editing. Did you guys
No.
see this?
No.
What's this?
Yeah, he was like, so the scriptwriter Sheldon Lettich, he did an interview for How Was This Made? And they were saying that JC came in. The first edit was terrible, apparently. It was awful. We all saw the first cut and it was really, really bad. And then JC came in with this editor and Michael J. Duthie. And because he knows fight scenes, they recut it. And it just
and
sort
they
of
made it way
worked.
better.
Wow.
I mean, the fight
Yeah.
scenes are what make this movie, to be honest. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that too.
Oh, can you
Um,
imagine that? Like, if the fight scenes in this were bad, there wouldn't be a movie.
Oh, it'd be
Yeah.
terrible. It'd be awful. Yeah, they had no fight scenes. It'd be just him banging someone and then turning up to, like, imagine. Yeah, that'd be a good edit. Bloodsport, edit out all the fight scenes, and then, including the training montage.
And it's just Tanaka beating a kid.
And then he's in Hong Kong, and then he's running away from the cops. It's a completely different movie.
Well, if JCVD did the cut, then it would have been the true director's cut then.
Yeah.
So,
Man,
Bloodsport's
there's
the
an idea,
director's
like editing out the vital parts of movies and stitching them back together to see if they make any sense. Just editing out the main parts. Yeah, so, and then Chong Li fights a dude who I don't remember actually seeing in the Kumite up until this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, he was a bit disposable, but he kills
He
that
was
guy.
obviously
It was
yeah,
so
he was a
intense,
disposable
man.
dude.
Yeah, but that guy must have been
And
okay.
the crowd turns on him
Yeah.
and starts booing him.
And this is kind of like they have a referee at the Kumite. I don't know why, because I don't know what the referee does. He's essentially allowed to kill someone, and like,
He's just to get in the way, really.
I think he just starts the match. Yeah, it starts the match. Or it's used as a
he
prop.
starts the match.
But then why does he
But
keep
yeah, he
standing?
allowed like a death.
Why does he stand on the battle mat? Like, why didn't he just stand to the side? He's not really needed. Yeah,
It's true. Maybe there's something about it's not so much what happens in between as what happens at the beginning and the end.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
That still doesn't answer why he has to be on the mat.
Well, I think
No.
they used him for that final fight with Bolo, where he kind of comes.
Well, the mate thing, right?
yeah,
If you yell out
Yeah,
mate,
that's
yeah,
true.
he's like he
conceded, so
officiates on the knockout.
but anything goes.
Yeah. So,
he killed that dude.
He kills the dude like brutally. He had already beaten him, and he just like kills the dude in front of the like
Oh.
FBI or the CIA. It's not really a good idea.
Wow.
But they don't have
That's
jurisdiction.
It was like, oh, there's law enforcement here. I'll just kill a dude in front of them.
I'm sure the police didn't turn up. Were
Why didn't the police
in there?
intervene? They got tasers. Like, surely they should have
Yeah.
intervened then.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, if
whip
they're
out the tasers.
CIA, I'm sure they don't care. But I'm just wondering, was the police in there as well?
I don't know. Or maybe they were all knocked out. I don't know.
Oh, the cops weren't there.
No, there was cops there. There was no
Yeah.
so,
But I noted in there like how Bolo celebrates silently. And
yeah,
it's
he's
like,
trying to
"You
get the
are
crowd,
next."
and everyone's not very impressed. Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
Yeah. But they added echo to his voice. It was super menacing.
Yeah, and it's super dubbed.
Yeah. You are
Next. But I like it how he just doesn't care what people think because he does his happy dance even when they turn their back to him.
and then he just kind of walks off and goes, you guys are idiots. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just silence. And then he's got the next scene where he's got the secret pills stashed into his
Yeah,
underpants.
yeah. I thought that was like ecstasy or something like that.
Yeah, well, it's
It's like
obviously
some illegal drug.
Well, it's obviously not sand because it does blind him in a very special way. So it's must have been some drug of some description.
I wonder what it was.
Yeah.
I think it was like a Gaviscon tablet. Or
Like a Panadol. You take this to cure your headache.
a Sal Vital
It's
tablet
just-
or something.
It's just for his indigestion.
Like a quickies.
Hey, Derek, I just got to ask: do you know what happens when you put an indigestion tablet in your eye?
Well, we do now. You fight a lot
I like
better.
how they raised the platform though, because that harked back to the training. The platform was like that at the
Oh
Tanaka
yeah,
training.
I often wonder why they raise it. Like, why is it make it
Well,
harder?
I thought later on it adds a really cool dynamic because you've got these really askew angles where they're going up and down, and the body rolls down when they fall down.
That's right. And
I
then
thought that
they
was kinda
is this
cool.
where they have that
Oh,
scene
true.
that we were talking about before, where it's got the cameras behind up in the stands and rotating.
Oh, it's epic.
Yeah,
man.
that's actually
Yeah.
my favorite scene in the movie because it looks really cool. Like it's like, oh man, they're just fighting, and you kind of got this. It's like kind of rotated as if you were walking around the top of the kumite.
The ring behind the judges, like it uses the blocking, so their heads are blocking the action, and you just sort of you're trying to peek through. It creates this really cool tension.
Yeah,
I like
and the
that
music's
too.
really cool there as well. They got this kind of synthy drum stuff going
music does take it up a notch from sex scene music. Because there is during some of the fighting scenes, there did seem to be kind of this sort of sex scene montage music.
Okay,
Listen back. You'll tell it. You can tell.
But then at this point, Frank gets blinded by the
Because he's winning.
the-
He's winning. He's putting Chong-Li on his knees.
Yeah, because he like basically knocks him down, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then so that's why he throws the Panadol in his face.
Panadol. It's just a bit of paracetamol.
It's one of those dissolving
Take
tablets.
this, you son of a
And then
bitch.
It's dissolved into my
It just happens to be
eyeballs.
JC's weakness, his kryptonite. Oh.
I just love how you can drug people's eyeballs as well. But I don't know. It was at that point that I started to notice something. And I don't know if any of you noticed it, but did anyone notice the cat?
No.
There was a cat?
Okay.
No.
Listen back.
There's a cat at the Kumite.
There is literally a cat
Oh.
meowing throughout this entire scene.
Oh, really?
Once you notice it, you can't.
I'm going to have to watch
unnotice it.
this tomorrow.
I'll have to check
Because there's this it's like this wow
it
sound.
out. Oh.
And I swear it sounded like a cat. I don't know what it was, but it sounded like a cat.
It wasn't your
and I
little puppy
couldn't
Remy, was
ignore
it? Sitting next to you.
No, dude.
Just like meowing.
Dude, this is Bloodsport. Once you're focusing on Bloodsport, that's all you see and hear.
I noticed the
even if you're blinded
discordant
with
music.
Panadol.
I thought that was really cool. Where he's blind and it's just all discordant, and JC screams in slow motion. You know, that's the climax, I thought.
Oh, yeah. The roar.
Yeah.
He's like, what's going on? He's like, my headache is gone.
That's where I wrote tea time in my.
Tea
Oh, tea time.
It's like, oh, no, I've disturbed the tea.
And he thinks back to Mrs. Tanaka and her sweet tea.
You know what that is?
Sweet,
That was
sweet
it dawning on him that she had the hot room the whole time they were together. And it's just like, oh no.
So, like, Chung-Li just starts fighting him, and he's just taking blows.
Yeah.
And kind of like what makes a crucial error that Jackson made, and not just finishing him off. He's kind of like
Yeah.
playing with him.
Yeah. Anytime
then-
someone goes, yeah, come on, you know, it's pretty much
Yeah.
that's when they're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And then he kind of recovers his wits, thinks back to the tea, and also the fish, grabbing the fish out of the.
Yeah, he goes back to
Yeah. Have you
grabbing
guys
the
ever
fish.
tried to grab a fish?
I grabbed flies before.
Yeah, have you?
Not recently.
From Karate Kid?
Yeah, mosquitoes and flies and things, but no, not
Oh,
fish.
not a fish.
I
You,
must
Darragh?
admit.
You repeatedly.
Not recently.
Oh, not
no.
recently. Okay.
Not recently. When I was watching Bloodsport, I used to have a tadpole pool in front of me.
Just grabbing
I
fish.
used to practice.
Drink your serving tea and grabbing fish.
I went through so many goldfish.
Darragh, not again.
Okay.
Killing animals, man.
That's
Oh, look,
that's the
right.
last cup we're
no
buying.
problem. Just get me a
Oh my
panic.
god, I didn't even put two and two together. You know, we're grabbing carp all this time.
Yeah, just get me a Panadol and leave the fish alone. So then he starts because like he throws the judge at him
Yeah.
because he gets surprised, and then the guy, he kind of grabs the judge and then he pauses for a second.
But he knows the
goes,
difference.
"Ooh,"
And he
Yeah.
touches him.
I don't know how he did that because like
I think it was the cloth. The cloth. of
Yeah,
the-
it was. There he goes. Oh, Chung-Li wasn't wearing this silky smooth
Yeah.
cloth.
Yeah, it's really beautiful fabric there.
That must
And
be
there's
that
a
other
moment-
guy.
There's like a cutaway, and they go back to the fashion designer and ask him about what he's wearing, and
And then he kind of puts the referee behind him, so he kind of knows
Yeah,
where
he protects
is.
him. That was a noble move, I thought.
Yeah, this is the whole purpose of this referee, I think.
yeah, I think it was more just like he was telling him to get out of the way because he obviously didn't know how to referee.
He was saying,
Because
"Get down,
you're right.
get down."
He's in the way the whole time.
He's like, yeah, he doesn't. He could just stand to the side. Like, I don't know why he's. We talk, yeah.
It's almost like the match will be over if he steps out of the ring.
Yeah, but then like he is then used as a platform for Van Damme to basically kick Chung-Li in the face.
Yeah.
Doesn't he kind of launch off him, or am I misremembering the movie?
Oh, I can't
I thought
remember
there was one
that.
part where
No, yeah,
he's kind of like
jumps.
he jumps
Over
off
him?
the dude. Or something.
Okay.
Yeah, he jumps over him. That's right.
I think he does use his foot on him as a support or something.
Yeah, he
doesn't
does
he?
something with the ref. He basically launches at Chung-Li.
Oh.
And then Chung-Li kind of freaks out, and Van Damme is doing these like incredible air splits and
Yeah.
roundhouse kicks in the air,
Amazing.
which are
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
He's just like in Street Fighter 2. Do you know Ryu does a hurricane kick?
Oh, hurricane.
He essentially does the
yeah.
same thing.
Oh.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
And Chung-Li just gets like, rooted up.
Yeah. spitting out blood.
Yeah. He's probably going, I probably shouldn't have given him that Panadol.
He's feeling a lot better now.
He's feeling way better.
It actually was LSD, and he's like so happy right now. In fact, I think that the rest of the film from that point on actually didn't happen. I think that was just like a fever dream that he was having. He OD'd.
Actually,
after that point.
he died.
Yeah,
he died. On
this is based
platform.
on a true story. Dukes is in a coma from that point forward.
Based on a true story.
Based on a true story.
But he makes him yell mate.
Mate.
And that's where the official finally has his role, his use.
Of like going, yeah, that's it. He's done.
Yeah. Say it.
Say it. Imagine if he said something else. Yeah, it's pretty.
What would he say?
It's pretty bad for chocolate.
Leave me alone.
What did he say?
Bananas.
Uncle. He just says young uncle.
Uncle.
Yeah.
But that's when Forrest Whitaker cheers. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
He's such a great actor, man.
He's awesome. So much charisma.
Rawlings, man. He should have won the Oscar.
And Van Damme goes, "This is for you, Shidoshi."
Yeah.
I don't think he can hear you, Van Damme. I wonder if Shidoshi survived.
Well, that's the question. Like, if he's talking about Shidoshi, he's obviously talking about not the son, but his master.
No, he's talking about his master. He's not talking about Shingu.
But we don't know if he's alive or dead. Do we
never
ever
find
know?
out. It's never resolved.
No. Yeah.
No.
So he gets that sword from the Dragon Clan. Is it the Dragon?
Yeah, he gets
and
another sword.
Then he goes to visit Ray in hospital.
And they have that fist grab moment where biceps are flexing. Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, and then it gets really personal, and he goes, "I love you, my friend."
I love that. Bro love, man. It was super
He's
explicit.
like, anytime, any place.
I loved it. It was so nice.
You need me. I was like going, look, you basically got brain damage in our last fight. I don't know how useful. I like beat Chong Li with blind. I don't need you.
I always just imagined that they ended up together and started their own torture garden.
Yeah, it's a real kind of. There's this really kind of homoerotic kind of thing because they've known each other essentially 3 days.
I know.
They only met 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Their connection's deeper than with the
journalist.
I mean, the fact that I can't actually remember her name.
Janice.
And Janice.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever mentioned. Maybe
the
it is.
journalist. But he doesn't go, "I love you, my friend," to her. He says it to him.
No, he just kind of waves at her from a plane.
Just do the fist bump thing.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
the
He
fist. Oh no,
waves.
they do that like, yeah.
Yeah,
Which
but
is-
you're right. He does. He waves first, and that's when she does the fist bump.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then he kind of shows it, and then he walks on the plane and goes, that does that. That's that.
Yeah.
But then he outsmarts Forrest Whitaker again and his pal by somehow sneaking onto the plane
Yeah.
where they're kind of waiting outside. And that's how he got away, I think, in the first place to Hong Kong. He has this
Yeah.
ability to sneak onto planes.
Sneaky. But then you find out it's the
Yeah.
true events of Frank Dukes and
Yeah, that's when it's revealed.
the ninjutsu Dukes
He
Ryu.
fought like 500 kumite.
Yeah.
Oh, I
500
love
kumite
I
matches.
love the stats in this.
Stats are
just
crazy.
Just
Yeah, it's great
amazing
stats. Fastest knockout by kick, by punch.
I wish
etc.
that they'd have like a cited record of as proclaimed by Ducks.
Well, I didn't know at this
Dukes.
point when I saw the film that they were all just made up.
You're
why
like,
would
going, oh
you?
my god.
Yeah.
No, when I was a kid, I was very impressed by that. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I watched a YouTube clip that was sort of talking about his background and what he had said. And this guy has saved more than one set of orphans. He's an amazing,
He's an amazing
dude.
guy.
Oh, just like he was in the CIA, but he can't talk about it. But he can talk about the fact that he was in it. And the story was that he told about it was about this dude who conveniently died just before he told the story. It's just this guy, and you look at photos of him, and he's always wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, yeah.
My I actually had another alternative.
Well, that's probably
title.
because he didn't want to get dust in his eye anymore.
That's true. Oh, that's true.
He copped
I didn't-
LSD to the
that's-
eyes.
Yeah, he's like he actually is blind
Yeah, he
from
got
that
blind
point
Chong Li.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, I did have another alternative title for this, and that was The Life and Lies of Ducks.
Yeah.
I can't say Dukes. I'm sorry. It's spelled Ducks.
the Mighty Dukes. The Mighty Dukes.
The Mighty Dukes. Emilio Estevez is in the Bloodsport 2. Have you seen Bloodsport 2, Darragh?
No, I have not.
yeah.
I heard Jackson's in it. I should watch it, but it's probably terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's the movie. Like, what did you guys... Like, I love this movie.
Did you have any final thoughts?
My final thought, like, I mean, I've seen this so many times, and every time, like, I know it is a pretty terrible movie. Like, on the basis of its acting alone. The plot is questionable, but I enjoy watching it. It's really fun. I love how it's filmed, and I love the music as well.
Yeah.
This really is a movie for people from the 80s. Because having started to watch, doing these mogs, I'm really noticing a lot of the sexism that's coming through and all of these things. And I would imagine that for some people, when that stuff comes up, it immediately would shut them down from the remainder of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a scene in this where they're literally gambling over who gets the girl.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I've watched it with two women recently, and they have not liked this movie.
Oh, they didn't like it, yeah.
No, they're like, this is... Yeah, and yeah, you're right, Peter. It's a pretty misogynist. Unfortunately, it's a sign of the times, I think, back then. Did you know they made a remake of this as a female film?
Oh,
as
right.
a female one, like 2 years ago now.
It's recent, right?
It's fairly
Has it
recent.
come out?
I think it went straight to video or something like that. I haven't watched it. There is a trailer
Well,
online. It's essentially the same story except with women. It's called This is the Cops Calling or something like that.
The call of the cops.
Here comes the cops.
Oh, God.
Well, it happened with Predator. They remaking Predator, and it's got many more female roles in it.
Yeah. So many of these movies had no female characters or their kind of background. Yeah, but what about you, Derek? What was your thoughts?
Well, I really enjoyed the film. It's not too long at 92 minutes, which is a lot less than this podcast. There's really not too much excess in this film. It's about the build-up, the mysterious and dangerous Kumite, you know? And it's a fight movie, so the fights are creative and epic, and Bolo is truly terrifying. Ray Jackson is just pure gold in this too. So thanks so much for recommending it. You have fighting spirit, Darragh.
What kind of a deal?
Come on, guys.
I'm glad that you've chosen it and allowed me to come on and talk about Bloodsport. It's definitely one of my, as I said before, I acknowledge it's a largely terrible movie, but I just love it so much. In spite of that terribleness.
It's a pure Mog film. It's a pure historical
pure
film.
Mog. 100% Mog.
100% Mog. Yeah, but we're really grateful to have you on, Darragh. And,
no worries. Anytime.
Yeah, it's been amazing. This is our longest one.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. You're going to have a lot of editing to do.
I'm going to edit that out.
There you go. There's a place to start.
So what's the next film then, Derek?
Our next episode will be on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade from 1989.
Ah, yes.
Good choice.
Finally, we're getting into the good stuff. Well, not the good stuff, the mainstream good stuff.
Yeah. So thanks so much for everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks very much.